All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, today in this video, I'm going to be doing a daily forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, June 10th, just one day away from the start of the World Cup. So, I'm really hyped. But I'm also really hyped about something else, though, and that is the markets today. Everything just moved in a beautiful, very high probability way, and pretty much everything that I anticipated, forecasted, happened. And especially what happened on the indices. That's what I'm most happy about. Okay. So overall, really, really good day. If you weren't able to catch a trade today, then I'm really sorry because you missed out on a great A plus setup. Whether you're talking about indices or gold or the majors, um, you missed out. All right, so let's start by looking at the economic calendar here. And tomorrow, the main story is obviously CPI. Like I said, CPI is going to be really important, especially, well, just because of the macroeconomic situation we're in right now. It's just as important as NFP that came last week. It's just as important as FOMC that's coming next week. And so, yeah, overall, tomorrow I expect the volatility to continue. I expect some high probability moves, sorry. And so CPI, very important data. Let's keep an eye on it. And then also we do have some, well, we have the Canadian dollar interest rate decision, basically. Okay. All right. So let's start by looking at the dollar. So, like, look at this. Honestly, the dollar today was the highest probability instrument of all. Look at this setup. Look at this thing, zero point 0.5, and then it moves higher. Beautiful. And honestly, it can still keep going higher. We still have this high to reach, and then this high right here. So this is absolutely beautiful. Then how can we do that? Well, we still have to see, still have to wait an hour and 30 minutes, but strongly believe that we can continue higher. We can create, first of all, that 4-hour fair value gap and then continue higher from it. Okay? So overall, yeah, the dollar was really interesting today and can keep being interesting for tomorrow. Now, AU. So AU, I'm a little bit, uh, I don't know if I like it so much because we never got this thing back inside the daily fair value gap. So that makes it a little bit less probability in my opinion. And we also have that 4-hour bearish fair value gap. So yeah, I just don't know if we can get the retracement back inside the daily fair value gap. We could just get a retracement back inside the 4-hour fair value gap to then continue lower. That makes it a little bit lower probability to me. And now, but let's keep it on the interest rates for sure, because that can still keep going lower. GU, um, yeah, GU's, let's see. Let's see. No, I don't like GU as well. First of all, the retracement back inside that daily fair value gap is very heavy. And then on the 4-hour, we don't even create a 4-hour fair value gap. So that is just concerning, and I don't like it, if I'm being honest. And we also have an opposing fair value gap going against us. So yeah, GU for tomorrow, forget about it. And now let's move on to the real thing, and that is EU. EU was just absolutely beautiful. Actually, it's been a while since I traded something else than gold, but today I had to trade EU. Like the setup was just way too good. I just couldn't, skip it. And so yeah, this is what happened here on EU. So on it, like just that was just so high probability that I think it's gonna stay the same for tomorrow, and we might have some other opportunities coming up on EU. So from the daily time frame, we get the sting inside the daily fair value gap. Perfect sting with like the best accuracy ever inside the fair value area, and then from there we completely reverse and we start going lower. Now, the problem that I have with EU is that we don't have that 4 hour fair value gap. So it's really going to be about seeing and reacting. Maybe, we have 1 hour fair value gap here, but it's not great. It's really about seeing, can we create a PD array that can push price lower, basically. But yeah, I still think that overall, the next target is definitely this low right here. And then finally, USDC Chef. Yeah, so this didn't get the retracement back, but we do create the 4 hour fair value gap. So this looks a lot like, this actually looks a lot like AU, I think. Yeah. Okay, so that looks like AU. So I would say the best for tomorrow would be EU and then USDCHF and AU. GU is not, it's just not that great right now. But yeah, so for USDCHF, right now, uh, I just don't think we're gonna get that retracement back inside the daily for value gap. So what can we continue higher from? That's the 4 hour for value gap right here. All right, so now moving on to gold. Gold again, beautiful, just delivered so perfectly. The only thing that I was a little bit um disappointed at is that when we got the retracement back inside this, well, the daily fair value gap, we didn't come all the way back to the fair value area because that would have been great. And honestly, I didn't trade on gold. I didn't take a short. I was actively looking for a short, but I didn't because I was waiting for price to at least reach the fair value area, which it never did. And so that's why I ended up never trading it. But overall, this is just beautiful. Honestly, like just this thing, then the immediate reaction from it, and then we move lower. And so now for tomorrow, very bearish, very bearish on the metals, on gold. So from that 4 hour fair value gap, we can head lower towards this low, which is literally the next low, I think. Yeah. So I think gold has a very clear path where price can just run. And what I mean by run is like a lot of momentum. It just drops instead of dropping in steps like this. It just drops in one single very big momentum move like this. Okay. So yeah, overall, short tomorrow on gold. I don't think we're gonna come back and then sweep today's high, for example. It's really not likely right now. Silver, same thing. Same thing. You can see here that this thing inside the 4 hour for the daily fair value gap is the tiniest thing ever, but it's there, and then we just completely move lower from there. So that's again beautiful movement, and we create the 4 hour fair value gap that we can continue lower from tomorrow as well. So yeah, the metals look extremely interesting for tomorrow. That's for sure. All right, now moving on to crude oil, I'm a little bit, again, I don't really know what's going on with crude oil. So basically, today there was a US Army helicopter that was shut down, you know, in the Strait of Hormuz. And then Trump said that it was intended, it was made on purpose by the IRGC, which we don't know if it's true, but that to me is bad news in a certain way. It basically means, okay, well, the ceasefire is over. Oh yeah, and Trump also said that US needs to respond to this attack. So it's a violation of the ceasefire, and so we're back at doing war again. And so if that's the case, if we are back at, doing war again, then I see higher prices tomorrow. But if it's not the case, then I see lower prices. So it's really hard to tell what's going on right now. But if I had to judge this chart in a very objective way, I would say that today we swept this swing low, and now this wick at the bottom right here, we're respecting that low. And so, based on that information, the next target would be this swing high, and we can actually continue higher. So yeah, it's extremely hard to tell right now. I would just say react, wait and see what happens and then react to it. Because also keep in mind that the bearish scenario is also very plausible because we have a monthly fair value gap down here. So price could keep heading lower. It's really about seeing and reacting again. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin overall, good day, I would say. We got the retracement back inside the daily bullish fair value gap. So now we can respect that fair value gap to continue higher. We can still get the two candle rejection to continue higher and potentially target this, sorry, potentially target this daily fair value gap, which would be the next logical target, overlapping with this fair value area. That's where I see price heading next. But I wouldn't be surprised if price just starts dropping already without even retracing here. It's also possible. So again, it's really about monitoring first of all how this today's candle, how is it going to close in 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it's about seeing tomorrow's candle, the two candle rejection. Can we push higher or do we disrespect the daily fair value gap? Okay. Then the indices, so that I'm really happy about. The indices. NQ, there you go. Okay, so very similar to gold in a certain way, where we, as I said, we had the daily fair value gap yesterday, and so we got a sting into it, and then from that sting, we just massively dropped lower. Okay, but while doing that, we also created a 4 hour fair value gap. So that to me still shows a lot of bearish strength here on the S&P and on Nasdaq as well. Right here, there we go. So we can continue lower from those 4 hour fair value gaps on both S&P and Nasdaq. I also want to bring your attention to this Fibonacci right here. So this entire range from the latest all-time high to the low that we created on Friday, the retracement, then respect perfectly the zero point 0.5, and we move lower. This is beautiful. I think it's exactly the same thing on the S&P right here. Yeah, same thing, and we move lower from it. So yeah, I still see bearish prices for the week, even though, and that's really important to mention, even though today's candle does look a little bit more bullish than bearish, right? Like this wick at the bottom, that looks really strong. Same on Nasdaq. This wick at the bottom seems really strong. But we created the 4 hour fair value gap, and that's what matters. It's the creation of that fair value gap. And the wick that we're seeing is just setting up, it's just price setting up nicely to trade back inside the 4 hour fair value gap to then continue lower. Okay. So, yeah, lower prices tomorrow from those 4 hour fair value gap on the indices. And finally, let's look at the crosses weekly. Yeah, so right here on Australian dollar JPY, I'm still waiting for a sting back inside this daily fair value gap. If I don't get the sting, I'm not doing anything. Okay, New Zealand dollar JPY, that looks nice. That looks not bad at all. Didn't create a 4 hour fair value gap. I don't have a 1 hour fair value gap as well. So yeah, that's a little bit 50-50. I would wait. I would wait here. Maybe we can sweep the rejection high to then continue lower. That's possible. And that would also explain Australian dollar JPY that would have a first initial sting and then we can move lower. So yeah, I would wait a little bit on these two, but they're still interesting for the remainder of the week. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Yeah, that's a very similar situation. We didn't get this thing inside the daily fair value gap, so I would just wait. I would just wait. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Okay, so that is not great as well. So we got the first initial sting inside this lower fair value gap, which is we could argue it's a disrespect of that fair value gap, but we still have the two candle rejection left, to happen. So we'll have to wait because I still think somehow we can still reject from here, but it's just not too clear right now. So it's waiting, and then Euro, New Zealand dollar. Did it get the retracement? It did actually. It did retrace back. Okay. So we got the retracement back inside the daily fair value gap, which is good. That's what we wanted to see here. But now the push is pretty weak. If you look here on the 1 hour, this entire leg higher, let me show it clearly for you. This entire move higher here is very weak. We don't have a 1 hour fair value gap. We don't have a 4 hour fair value gap and probably very few 15 minutes fair value gap. So again, that's waiting. So for all the crosses, I would wait. They're not all fully ready yet, I would say. Okay, so for the dollar, overall higher prices tomorrow. How can we continue higher from this 4 hour fair value gap? Okay, so that would mean that something like AU and EU will continue lower. That's pretty clear in my opinion. AU can continue lower from this 4 hour fair value gap right here, and then USD CHF can continue higher from this 4 hour fair value gap. Okay. Then on the metals, it's just simply bearish, very bearish on both gold and silver. Actually, like silver a little bit more because we are closer to the target. Gold we're a little bit further, but it doesn't really matter. Overall, I think they're both great for tomorrow. Crude oil, I don't know. I don't know. It's really 50 or 50 right now. It depends on what happens in the strait and everything. And then finally, Bitcoin, I would say higher prices, logically speaking. Oh, okay. Breaking news. CENTCOM, US launches new strikes against Iran. Just confirmed. Just got in. So we're back at war. We're back at playing war in the Middle East. It literally just crossed the Bloomberg terminal right here in front of my eyes. So okay, so that means that for tomorrow, crude oil, I think we're gonna head higher. I think we might even open with a gap to the upside, depending on how much this news is going to affect the markets. But overall, yes, higher prices on oil tomorrow. Bitcoin, higher prices as well, at least until we reach that daily fair value gap. And finally, the indices, bearish. Bearish from the 4 hour fair value gaps that we have on both NASDAQ and the S&P. Okay? All right, lads. Well, sorry, I know that was a long forecast, but it's just that right now the market is being so good, such high probability moves that I think it was really important that I take the time to explain everything and show you what's going on. So yeah, well, you know, very big news that just dropped on the Bloomberg terminal here. So yeah, tomorrow might be a little bit different than what we thought, at least for crude oil for sure. I think we could actually start going higher. All right, well, thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next forecast. All right, see ya.